Let's go ahead now and look at some advanced topics. The first one is how do I put stuff together and have relations found? In our example here, I moved my line around and none of the other geometry moved with it. What I really want is I want my line to be tangent to the circle and perpendicular to the other line. So what I create is some reference geometry to build those quote-unquote remote relations. You notice now as I move the line, they stay together the way I expect them to. Also, if we grab an endpoint, I can kind of start twisting it. You'll notice as I move, the perpendicular line kind of changes length and size because we never gave it a dimension. So if I want to hold that always to the quote bottom side, I simply dimension that value, and now I move the point around and it stays at the length I have it. This is called kind of building your own remote relations. The next one I want to look at is if I have a shape and I start dimensioning it, but if I use the fillet command to trim corners, what you will see is I will get the virtual intersection point left behind that I dimension to, which this is very helpful for dimensioning. So as I cut both of those ends off, you see now I have two virtual intersection points. So I will dimension the other one, leave it there, I can dimension to it, but I'm going to take that one out. And now when I leave the sketch environment and come back in, if the virtual intersections were not used, the sketch will automatically clean those up for you, which is very helpful. In our very last example, what I want to talk about is ignored relations. We have a sketch here, as you can see, with two boxes. Outside of the sketch environment, I'm going to change the value from 50 to 70. You would expect that those lines would now be collinear, but they are not. They are ignored because if I change a value from outside of the sketch environment, it will not reapply any found constraints. This is one of the keys to maintaining the design intent. So as you can see, you get that star, which will tell you what has been an ignored relation. There's a bunch of other ways to work around this. Again, now in the sketch environment, I can go back in there now and just delete that, and now it will find those. So now I have the collinear relation, but I can override those. This is the traditional way we have looked at it in the past. But now, if I go back now, because I just ignored it in the context of changing it, if I change it in my sketch environment back to 70, the collinear relation comes back. This is just very helpful to understand how and where the solver finds the relations it needs. I can also tell it if I pick a dimension to always ignore that relation while I'm building a sketch. If I built this one and it was collinear, but I know when it moves later I don't want that to be found, I simply tell the sketch not to find those relations. Thank you.